What's up, gangbangers? Welcome back to the only channel that really makes your cheeks clap. Listen to them. Today we're making some heat for the street that goes a little something like this.
Shawty don't got kids cause she raising the roof.
That's right.
Got a full-time job, shaking ass in the booth.
She do.
Talking about some bullshit. I say yeah, me too. Cause I ain't never told a lie. That's the big booty truth.
I'ma make you
Right there. That's a sweet spot. To access all the tools featured on the channel, links will be in the description. And if you want to sauce up your production arsenal, we got samples, presets, Max for Live devices, Ableton racks, and synthesizers, all built for bangers that clap cheeks at crackedrecords.com. As always, make sure to like, comment, and tickle that subby butt if you haven't yet. And for those of you that are new to the channel, my name is Morgan, and this is Cracked Records. And this is Cracked Records. All right, so today we're going to start out with the vocals. One, because my songwriting is fucking insane on this one. And two, because a lot of people misunderstand how to use AI vocals. So this is actually from me originally. So this is the original recording.
Shawty don't got kids cause she raising the roof. Got a full-time job.
And this is the final.
It's cause she raising the roof. Got a full-time job, shaking ass in the booth.
So AI vocals, they are so you have a faster way to test out ideas. It's always going to sound better to get someone to redo it in the end. But if you can just make the vocal quickly by yourself, then you can see if your idea is even good before you start hitting up vocalists. So this is how I record it. And I used Suno to convert it, by the way. So the key thing with the recording is just getting the cadence down or as close as possible, and then adding in some like alternate ad-libs and any other sort of fun shit you could think of. So I always do a couple takes with the vocal. This is the final one that I ended up using. And then on my bounce, I just use like a little bit of OTT and low cut. And then it's important to do some ad-libs as well, just to give yourself as much as you can to work with. So this is like the intro part.
Yeah. One time. That's right. That's right.
And then I even do some female parts sometimes. So I thought this was going to be funny to add in the end, but I just never ended up using it. So
Quit staring at my juicy ass.
So it's always good to just fuck around, just like loop the song and then just go for it, because you never know when you're going to get some good results. So let's check out this final vocal again. So on the processing, let's just turn this all off really quick, or just two things actually. It's not even that crazy. So we just have OTT and then an EQ. So this is without anything.
Shawty don't got kids cause she raising the roof. Got four.
And then with.
Shawty don't got kids cause she raising the roof.
Yeah, so we just have OTT gain comped, which is literally just OTT with 10 plus on the output, just to balance out the levels. And then the mix is at 100%. And then I'm just kind of manually de-essing it and then cutting out some of the lows with this low cut. So yeah, if you guys haven't started doing your own vocals yet, just get used to it, because it's going to make your process so much easier when you have a full vocal idea rather than just starting out with a bunch of different sounds that have no context. All right, let's take a look at these drop leads, because they're going absolutely insane altogether. That sound is unreal. All right, so for the timbale, a lot of people were asking me about this. I'll show you guys how I did it, but I'm not going to be giving this one away just because it's like the main idea of the whole song. So here's what it sounds like by itself. And it looks like we got 5 different layers going on. So first up, we have this. This is acting as like the main meaty hit of it. Or I guess we got to check out the MIDI first. So we're in E flat minor, and then we just have everything hovering around the root with the minor second and the 7th leading you back into the phrase. So, And the way that I set this sound up, which we'll check out in a second, is I made the velocity control everything. So that's why you'll see some of these darker notes. And the only other thing to note with this MIDI is if you want those like realistic flam sounding hits, you're just like kind of doing a grace note like right before you want the note to hit. So, and it's all just based off feel. So you just want to have just like another hit coming right before where the hit was placed originally. So originally this one was just like a single note right here, but then I wanted the flam hit. So I just put this one on the grid and then just shifted this one off. And then inside of Serum 2, we have a basic FM setup. So we have 2 saw waves with PD from B. Then we have the second saw wave 3 octaves and a third up. And there's no rhyme or reason behind why I did the +3. I was just like listening to it and feeling out what sounded good. Then we have oscillator C set up to light metal. And the thought process behind this was I was just trying to think of what would give it the most like metal sort of transient like a drum hit has. So this wavetable is just acting as like a super short transient at the beginning. And we have envelope 2 set up to the level on this, as well as a low pass filter, just to give it some more pluckiness. So we have the envelope 1 going to the cutoff. And then in the effects, we have this flanger, which is giving us most of the metallic tone. So if we turn this up, and there's also no rhyme or reason behind this as well. I just know that I wanted a metallic tone, and I know that flangers can give me that. So it's just about messing around with different sort of comb filters and dragging it around until it sounds right. Then we have a tube distortion just to blow it up, an OTT just to make it huge. And then we have another equalizer, which is doubling down on the pluckiness. So after you introduce an OTT, it gets rid of a lot of the natural shape of the sound that you might have set up with the filter. So if you do another filter or an EQ afterwards, it's just going to remake it like a pluck. Then below that, we have a convolve reverb with the Hyper 1 set up to about 50%. And that actually gives it a lot of that like drum room tone, because without it, you could hear it super dry. So that's almost making it feel like it was recorded in a room that drums are recorded in. Then in the post, we just have an overdrive. So I usually just use this as like a post tone control. So it really is just about making it fit in the mix. And I'm just like dragging around the frequency and this little cue right here, and then the dry wet. Yeah, so it's just kind of bringing out some of those metallic tones. After that, we have Everything Thick OTT, which is just my version of just send it to the moon. And this is also, I'll include this with the core as well. And the thought behind this is I just fucking compressed everything all the way to the absolute top, and it just makes shit absolutely massive. After that, we have an EQ8, just getting rid of any lows that we don't want, and then just taming some of the harshness up here at 3K. And then I'm just using this saturator as a hard clip just to make sure it's not clipping out of the channel. So yeah, that's everything for like the main bulk of the sound. So that's where I started when I was making the sound. Oh, and actually I forgot to mention the way that this sounds like so natural is because of this velocity setup. So when you think about the way a drum works, there's a lot of things that the velocity controls, which is essentially how hard you hit the drum. So I was thinking like, when you hit a drum, you get more high end, the sound is longer, and you also get like more of the like metallicness of it, because I'm thinking like a timbale. So with this, we have it set up to the decay, which is down here. Then we have the filter 1 frequency. So this is simulating like just getting more of the high end in it. Then we have the level, which again is just making it louder. Then we have the warp. So it's set up to the PD from B. So if you hit it harder, then you're getting more of the metallic tone. And that's how we're able to just use the velocity in the MIDI to make it sort of flow better. And I would highly recommend just setting that up with as many different sort of like percussion or really any sort of sounds, because it just gives it so much more of a human feel. So below that, we have... And the way that I set up all the layers is, as you can see over here, if you set this to in and then select the main channel right here, it's just gonna listen to the MIDI on the main track and then play it at the same time. So that's a good way to just be able to, instead of having like 10 MIDI clips open, you could just draw it in one and then all the layers will follow it. So for this layer, let's take a listen again. So this one was just duplicated from the original. And then I believe I wanted to give this just like a higher tone. So it's set up in the same way, but the difference is it's sine waves in the FM, and then it's a different flanger cutoff. And then for this one, the decay is also set up to a longer time just to make sure it rings out a little bit on those higher notes. Then below that, we have this noise layer. So if we check this out, it's just a white noise. And then I believe, yeah, I did duplicate this again, but I just turned off all the oscillators and then I just turned on the noise. So this is just giving us more of like a noisy attack layer. Then I did the same process with the post-processing. We just have an overdrive, everything thick, EQ, and then a clip at the end. Then finally, we have this high perk layer. And again, this just has the in from the first channel. And for this, I just have a rim shot sample from Kashmir, and then I just tuned it to the original note. Then we also have in post a sort of like a Haas effect. So this is delaying the left and right at super short increments, just to give us some sort of like weirdness in the stereo field. And there's no feedback on this. So it's literally just delaying the signal slightly on the left and the right ear. Then on the group, we have quite a bit of shit as well. So first up, we have a standard multiband comp. And I use this to just like tame sounds when I'm doing a bunch of sound layering. So the main gist of this multiband preset is it has a lot of compression on the high end. So when this is pulled down, it's just making things less harsh. And then we have this at 39%. Then I have an EQ8, just getting rid of the lows, which you don't need, and a lot of the highs, just so the cymbals can cut through. Then we have another EQ8, just because I don't even know what the fuck I was doing. And again, just hard clipping it, just making sure it doesn't clip out of the channel. Then I have Soothe set up to, I believe, the default preset. And this was just taming any sort of the harshness in a more surgical way. So it's just going to sort of adaptively EQ it. Then after that, we have this channel strip. So if we check this out, and I'll put this with core as well. So if you guys have that, this channel strip will be in there. So I just use this for arrangement sort of things. So we have like a low cut, then I have a low pass filter. So if we zoom out and take a look at like the buildup, oh no, that's not even on. So for some of the different sections, I'll like low pass it. So in this C section of the drop. Then we have a little bit of reverb throw and echo and gain stuff if you want to change it throughout the arrangement. And if we listen right here in the C part of the drop, actually. So in this part, what I did was I just selected all these and turned down all their velocities at once with command drag. And this is what's just making the entire sound more tame. Because this is like the mix section of the drop, and I didn't want the lead sound to be like overpowering here. So this just makes the sound a lot more tame. And after that, we just have a slight bit of LFO tool for the sidechain. Next up, we got the sine lead, which is pretty saucy. Let's take a listen. So the gist with this one is a lot of automation, and I believe it's just, yeah, a sine wave. So we have two sine waves. The second one is 3 octaves up and a fifth. And then we have LFO2 set up as a vibrato. And the key thing here is I have the dry wet set up in the matrix here. So the aux source for the amplitude of the vibrato is set up to macro 1. And that just allows us to mix it in over time. Because if you think about a way that like any sort of natural vibrato works, it increases as a note is held. Like when a singer fucking holds a note, it gets more vibrato. So this just allows you to control that with the macro right there. Then in the effects, we have 2 distortions. So this is actually doing everything. So without this. So when you have the bass note sine wave and you use the distortion, that's what's giving it that sort of like FM tone. So, and this is just tube distortion with 75% on the drive. And then for whatever reason, oh yeah, I use downsample a lot just to give it like a ringy tone in the top end. So this is super subtle. Yeah, so if you hear that tinniness in the top end, that's all from the downsample right here. I kind of EQ'd it out, so it's kind of pointless. But yeah, that's about it for Serum 2. And I'll include this with Core as well. So that'll be up on the website. In post, we have an EQ8, just trimming out the lows because we don't need them, and some of the highs just so the cymbals can fit in there. Then we just have LFO tool to give it even more weirdness. So this is set up, I turned off the free rate in here, and it's set up to 18 hertz. So this is just giving it sort of like a super fast tremolo, just increasing the like weird effect of the sound. And there's no rhyme or reason behind the shape either. After that, we have a reverb thrower. So I just increase this as the second phrase ends right here. And then we have LFO tool acting as a sidechain. And then for the rest of the automation, we have the macro 1 increasing the vibrato as the note is held. And then we have the Serum pitch bend going from down an octave when the note starts. And then it's going slightly up. So it's about half a semitone because mine is set up so that 50 is 0 and then all the way up would be 12 semitones. So yeah, just a little bit of glide up just to make it more weird sounding. Below that, we got this little laser guy, and this is just playing in the root note on the upbeats. So this is just acting as like a rhythmic enhancer. And if we check it out inside of Serum 2, it's just a detuned saw wave, so about 50% here. And then we have LFO 1 set up to 2 octaves on the coarse pitch. So it just is acting like a laser. And then we're cutting out some of the highs right there, nothing in the effects. And then I just have a little bit of overdrive in post just to make it fit in the mixer I wanted. Then below all that, we have a shit ton of bass resamples layered on top of each other. So let's check these out. Yeah, so absolute shit show going on here. Let's check these out. So with these audio samples, what I have here is it's just a bunch of different audio files of me fucking around for like minutes at a time. And they're all just stacked on top of each other. Yeah, so we have a metallic resample, and then we have these neuro resamples. So if we listen to this one right here. Yeah, so that's just like 5 minutes of me fucking around with a bass sound. And what I'm doing here, the sort of the thought process behind it is after I had the lead, I was just listening for spots in the mix that needed little accent sounds. So I'm just placing it where I think it would fit. And then I just do shift option drag to change the place of the sample. So this is actually doing the main like whomping sound. And in the post here, we have an EQ8. So this is boosting up. This is boosting up the vowel tone of it. Then we have this everything thick at 44. And then after that, to reintroduce the shaping, you'll see there's a bunch of filter movement. So I have this low pass filter with the automation lane right here, just sort of reintroducing the shape of the sound so it fits in the mix. So altogether, they just fill out each other in the most random but satisfying way. And then for this turnaround here, we have just a bass hit, and that's in the root note. And then we have another bass hit stacked on top of that. Yeah, so those are just acting as like downbeat and turnaround sounds. Then in the group below that, we have some more layering. Yeah, so we have this FM stab. So this is stacked on one of those mud pie basses. And I believe, yeah, this is a core preset already. So if you have that, you already have this preset. So I won't go too in depth with that one. Then for the other sounds, we have this wonk, which is also a core sound. So it's just like a simple FM sound. And then we have envelope 2, which is set up to a bandpass, and that's what's giving us the wompiness. And that's layered on top of those other mud pie basses. Then in the post, we just have overdrive. And lastly, we just have this like swipey sound. Again, just all following the same movement as the other fill basses. Then lastly, we have this wugga wugga bass at the end. So it's a CDJ wicka wicka, and then we have a wubba wubba. So this is just a simple FM sort of bass. So we have, or no, actually it's just 2 sine waves. So it's the same process as the sine lead as before, but instead of using it as a sustained note, we have the LFO set up to the filter. So without this, I guess it still has the shape. So this is just 2 blown out sine waves with the tube distortion. And then we have OTT, hyperdimension, just to add some width only on the dimension. And then some chorus just to make it weirder. Yeah, so when you have like a type of sound that you want, it's always good to just experiment with a bunch of other synths with the same movement. And that's how you get sort of like a way more full synths. So yeah, so there's actually even more layering in here. So we have this neuro. Yeah, I think this was the sound that gave me the idea. So again, this is just, yeah, so this is just 2 little bits of that big ass resample with some thickness on it, and then again with the auto filter. And actually, before we get off these sounds, there's some sick shit going on with this fake out. So all together, huge. Yeah, so for this one, all I did to change it up is I just dragged out the little bit that was here before. And then we have the low pass following the movement that we wanted. So if we check this out, it's coming up at the end here. Then we have a reverb thrower, which I'll throw inside of core as well. And this just throws it into the metallic snare at the end. Yeah, so in terms of the arrangement of the drop, it's all about just dragging these to different places as the arrangement progresses. Then finally, for the synth group, we have a glue compressor, just making sure nothing was like popping too hard out of the mix. So I'm just turning this down -5 out of 10 ratio with a quick retack, quick release. Then it has a soft clip. Yeah, so because I layered so many fucking sounds, I just wanted to make sure that none of them were popping out too hard. Then we have an EQ8 just to get rid of any lows we don't need. And then just ducking out around 10K just so the cymbals have their own spot in the mix. Sauce check, sauce check.
I'ma make you work.
Let's go. Let's check out this bulbous kick and bass next. So for the kick, simple house pattern. For the MIDI, we just have this fake out on the first bar. Then I actually made this one inside of kick 3 just because I've made a billion kicks and it just sounds way better when the low end is all fitting together. So the thought process here is I wanted a darker kick, so I'm just starting the pitch not too high, and then I'm ending it in the root note of the song so it resonates with the 808. So if we could get those together. So the phase of the kick and the 808 are gonna match each other. Then the only other thing for this sound is you have these little click oscillators down here. So for these, I'm just like shifting through little sounds and then layering them on top of each other. And I actually did a new technique for the thump of this kick. So a lot of house kicks have that like super like deep tom sound in the front. And it was eluding me how to create that for the longest time. But the way I did it here is this is another sine wave, but with a more like tom harmonic. So this is how you set up the different like wavetable that you're using. So I just used this kick live wavetable, and that's just going to give us more of the like mid sort of like tom tones. So I have this just to taste in terms of the pitch. And then what I did to make it knock is in the effects, I have this wave shaper. So if we turn both of these off, yeah, so I'm wave shaping it right here and then blowing it to ship with the tube distortion. And then I'm cutting out the lows right here. So that way we just have a fat, knocky kick. Then in the post, we have knock, making it knock even harder. Shout out Decap. So this is a drum processing plugin that just adds girth for days. So we just got some of the punch pulled up, some air, and some clip. So without this, yeah, so it's just making it just bigger, more big. And that's about it for the kick drum. Below that, we got this 808. And this is just a core preset. So it's just, well, I designed this to fit literally any track as sort of like an 808. So we have the first 3 harmonics all controlled with macros. So we have this changed to harmonic mode. And I forget how to do that. Yeah, so if you go right here, you set it to harmonics. So we just have the first, second, and third harmonic, and then you could just mix them into taste, depending on the type of track that you're doing. Then we have LFO1 set up to the master pitch envelope. So it's just adding a little bit of punch with the macro controls over here. And yeah, just some fatness with distortion in the post. Then for the MIDI, we just have a simple root note pattern. So just on the downbeat right here, and then just clapping yeeks. Lastly, for the kick and bass group, we have this tom bass. So if you have Groove Generator, you have this already. And the way that this works is it's just a fucking full rack of 128 tom sounds. And then I'm just sort of like layering it on top of the 808 hits here and there. And that's just reinforcing the rhythm. Check out the tops next. So all together. Yeah, so for the clap, I mean, for just my drum process in general, it's all about just selecting good sounds. So we just have a couple different claps here. So we have 1 clap, 2 clap. This one's more like airy and tighter. And then we have a meteor clap at the bottom. Then for the fake out, we have this pipe hit. Absolutely enormous. So for this, I just bounced out the timbale and pitched it up an octave. So, and then layered it fucking 10 times. So we have this main hit. So that's in key. And then we have, this one is, I believe, pitched up another octave. Yeah, but I bounced it out. Yeah, so that one's up an octave. And then I just overdrived it to shit just to give it more attack. Then we have the flam hit, which is the same as the main hit. But it might be up fucking another octave. Let's check it out. +7, who cares? So all together. Yeah, and for these flam hits, I just like turn off the grid. So if you do Command 4, you could turn off the grid and then you just drag it until it sounds good. Then for the tops, we just have just a bunch of different like loop bits. So I think this was a full top loop and I just took out the little bits that I wanted for the groove. So for tops, it's all about just like experimenting with loops and then just taking the parts that you like and just putting them all together. Yeah, so I think I had like 10 different top loops for this, but I just trimmed it out just for the video. So yeah, we just have this shaker loop. Then we have this open hat layered with this open hat. Then on the group, oh no, we have it on the entire tops loop. I just have the slightest bit of overdrive, and this just makes all your tops have like the same timbre. So without this, so it just gives them a common distortion, and that way they all sound like part of the same kit. Below that, we got the drop vocals. Check it out.
Big booty, booty. Big booty. Yeah. Big booty, booty. I'ma make you work, 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 work.
Yeah, so for the deep big booty,
Booty.
it's just from the original. Then we just have Little Altar Boy throwing down the formant just to make it a little bit different for the drop. So it just sounds a little bit deeper. Then after that, we have Valhalla Room set up to a super short decay.
Booty.
So this is just moving the sound out of the middle. It's acting as like a dimension almost. And that way the drop sounds control the mid during the drop. And this is just acting as like a background sound. Then after that, we have OTT and an LFO tool. And Don't forget to do this because I could hear the click.
Big booty, booty.
Yeah, and that's about it for that one. Let's check out what else we got here. So then I believe we have some chants. Yeah, so we have this. The ad lib from the main vocal. Then I just have one slapback delay. So we have this on the upbeats, and then it's going to delay one time right here, but it's going to be filtered. And that way it just has a lot more bounce. Yeah, just fucking clapping. And then we have this yeah in the turnaround. And then for the girl vocals,
I'ma make you work, 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 work.
yeah, for this, this is just me, but ran through Suno. So I just was trying to think of how I could just tie the drop together, and you need some sort of like female response. So I just recorded myself doing this, and then let's see if there's more of this. Yeah, so this is just the little bit from the final.
I'ma make you work.
And on the group, we just have, again, one slapback delay that turns on just when the work is playing, and then some OTT for fatness, and this Avox Duo by Antares. And this is just acting as like sort of a Haas effect and a chorus.
Work, 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 work.
Yeah, so it's sort of doing the same thing as the Valhalla Room reverb was on the other vocal, and that just moves it to the sides so that the synths can be in the middle. Other than that, we have absolutely nothing on the master, minus some gain reduction before the drop. Let's run it one more time.
Shawty don't got kids cause she raising the roof.
That's right.
Got a full-time job, shaking ass in the booth.
She do.
Talking about some bullshit. I say, yeah, me too. Cause I ain't never told a lie. That's the big booty truth.
All right, gang, that's gonna do it for the Big Booty Truth. If you want the presets from this video, I'll be adding them to Core Volume 1, so check that out if you don't have it yet. As always, make sure to like, comment, and tickle that subby butt, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.